Alabama matches up really well with Michigan. If I'm Michigan, I try to see if Anthony Carter or Braylon Edwards has a game left of eligibility. They have no threats outside. None. If I'm press coverage and I'm bringing in guys into the box, this is a very tough. If I'm Michigan, I'm thinking, geez, terrible.
You can see the reaction that they had. Come on, this is bullshit. How did they get in? Why do we got to play? Okay, they get in. Well, we got to play in the first game. Come on, man.
Hey, I know for a fact that that Michigan was rooting for UW to jump them, which I thought they would do. But Steve, here's my question to you as you just jump in here. Do you think the NCAA has mathematically strategized this seeding to get rid of Jim Harbaugh because they're already mad at him?
Well, they've done everything else. It wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility. Because I thought the natural matchup would to make one of the last Rose Bowls, whatever version, a Pac-12, Big Ten type of thing, right? But nothing would surprise me. But here's another thing we got to talk about. ESPN's in business. They're in bed with the SEC. They were not going to leave them out. And I just still think that whoever wins the SEC with one or less losses has to be in. They have to be. I just said with a playoff without the I was like, yeah, but and look, Coach, we were at Football Palooza. We had the Louisville game on with FSU. Then we had Michigan and Iowa. Those two games were hard to watch. They really were.
Horrible.
And in the second quarter, I'm watching Florida State scuffle, and I know that the quarterback is going to be back, Rodemaker, if they decide to play. I said to myself, is this really right now the way it's constructed without Jordan Travis? Is that Florida State team a top 4 team? And this is the other thing. I think the game should matter. I think they should absolutely count. They factor in. However, there is a provision within the committee that you take into account current injuries and player availability. That is a factor.
I brought it up last week. I said it. It's in the bylaw. And the quarterback goes down. I'm just telling you right now, if Milroe got hurt, Bama's don't get in.
Right, because their backup is now playing lacrosse at Notre Dame. But I remember in college basketball, way back when I used to care about this, Cincinnati was the number 1 team, one of Bob Huggins' probably his most talented team. Late in the year, Kenyon Martin, who's going to be the presumptive number 1 pick, I think fractured his knee. He got an injury, so he's out. So they were still going to be in the tournament with that many teams, but they went from a number 1 seed to, I think, a number 2 or 3. So these things, there is a precedent for this.
Yeah, that's when they had Corey Blunt and all them.
Blunt was a little bit before, but I'm just telling you, in 1998, Cincinnati was going to be a Final Four team until Kenyon Martin busted his knee. It happened.
So, Steve, before Smitty asks you this, I got to ask you. So we were just talking about it. If Florida State opts out of a bowl game, which I think is just the most cowardly move you can make, what do you think should be the repercussion? If I'm the committee, I say you automatically ban for a year from playoff contention. You can't go next year. That's what I would do.
Well, I have a question. What if every player just opted out? Isn't that the new thing? You can opt out?
Yeah, their wideouts already opted out.
Well, that's different, though. He's NFL eligible. So that we got to kind of look at it. But
you can't. Here's the thing, Steve. You can't bitch and moan about getting left out of this playoff, and then the other side say, "Well, I don't want to prove nothing. We can't. We can beat Georgia, but we're not going to play it." What do you mean? If you're the best team, go beat Georgia.
So Florida State is going to leave that revenue on the table, and I'm with T-Rich. Players should play the game of football. I was watching some videos last night. This is amazing. Because I'm going to be doing a video on Barry Sanders soon. Barry Sanders in 1988 had like 2,600 yards rushing in 12 games. But he played in the bowl game after winning the Heisman. There was never a discussion, T-Rich. It's amazing.
It was like that up until my man from Notre Dame. What's his name?
McCaffrey really started it. And then the injury to Alden Smith, or the linebacker that played for the Cowboys.
Yeah, what's his name? Jalen Smith. Jalen Smith,
right?
Notre Dame,
Ohio State.
He had that nerve damage and they messed up everything. Yeah.
Yeah, but here's a running back that had 2,600 yards, and he just played in the bowl game. Like, it was no big deal. Like, this is my last hurrah at Oklahoma State, and they blew out Wyoming. But I do remember his dad, his dear old dad. I love Barry Sanders' dad, William Sanders. There was a Sports Illustrated article when they talked about him returning, and he said, "You think I'm going to allow my son to make millions of dollars for a university while I'm up on a roof? No, not happening. We're going pro." So you could do it both. You could say, we're going pro, but it was my last game. That doesn't exist anymore.
Man, that's just like my sophomore year. We didn't win. We went to a bowl game, Capital One Bowl, and we still had a Julio, Mark, Marcel. All those guys played in the bowl game, bro. Like, and we went out there and dominated Michigan State ass. Like that was us, bro. Like that was.
But that's when bowl games still mattered, though. Trent, I'm saying times have changed because the playoffs made it to where bowl games don't matter. And then again, the Jalen Smith injury made everybody look like, damn, I could lose millions of dollars if I get injured in this bowl game. So now players are like, if it ain't competing for the Natty, it ain't worth the risk of me getting hurt and dropping my draft stock.
Yeah, but I don't think bowl games is really the factor of it, like, because I think it's the film that you get in a product the product that you put out there. Because I mean, if it ain't the Natty or the playoffs now, I mean, because even back then, it wasn't a BCS bowl. It wasn't, and like even if you play in a BCS bowl, that don't really matter if you ain't playing a national championship, right?
Trent, here's the thing: you play pro ball, and you know this. What if you're on a team by week 10, you're out of the playoffs, you're 2-8? How are you going to approach that as a pro? Well, we're out of the playoffs. Well, yeah, but your knee's banged up a little bit. Yeah, you're right. I should sit out for next year. I'd be like, excuse me? That is now your job. Look, and I get it. You're paid as a pro, but your approach to playing the game of football, if you're one of these guys that opts out as an NFL franchise, I would have it in a red pen. This guy opted out. Doesn't mean you're not draftable. It just means I have questions about your willingness to play the game of football because, Trent, you know this. Once you get to that next level, oh, Trent, you're a little sore in the knee. Yeah, don't worry. We got 7 more games, and we'll see you Sunday. That's the way it works.
Man, I tore my meniscus at practice, bro. Before the bowl game, before the national championship, nobody knew. And if I would have said I was not playing in that game, I don't think we got in the Natty. Because that year we lost against LSU in the game of the millennium, or century, whatever they called it. We lost against the LSU game, right? We didn't go to the SEC championship, but we still put on a good product out there. But if they say I'm not playing in that game, if I'm hurt, I don't think we get in that game. Not to say that Eddie couldn't do it, but with me and Eddie on the field, that made it even better. And Eddie had a turf toe that was bad for about 2 or 3 years. So you think about that, like, I do go with our third guy.
Yeah, football is about being there for people at all times and carrying your weight and making sacrifices. It's a lot like boxing or any other combat sport because you're doing something you don't really want to do. That's against human nature. And I've seen it where teams don't want to be out there. I remember one year Miami, this is way back during the Erickson days. They lost a late game to West Virginia in 1993. For the first time in a decade, they're out of the national title race going into the bowl game. And they got crushed by Arizona, 29-0 in the Fiesta Bowl. And I knew from the first play on that our guys don't want to be here. Teddy Bruschi and all that, they just swarmed Miami. I thought it was a black mark on the program and Dennis Erickson about the lack of control that he had. And when I see Alabama and teams like Georgia consistently play hard, not always win, but play hard from the first game to the last game, like Alabama last year could have easily been one of those teams that were going to pack it in and they played this upstart Kansas State team. But guess what? All of the Bama stars played and they set a tone. So when you talk about culture, I don't like when players say, we're all about culture. We buy in when you hashtag, you wear a t-shirt. But when it comes to the last game, hey, guys, good luck. That's not living to the culture.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a competitor too, so like, I listen. I'm definitely gonna play because I just love the game enough to where I would do that. But at the same time, I just never been in somebody's shoes to be a potential first round guy. So I guess I'm just understanding of it because again, I love my teammates. I want to compete for you guys, but the main thing is the main thing, and you do gotta be a little selfish, when you're considering making these decisions, because in the event you do go out there and tear your ACL or tear your Achilles or something like that in the ball game, none of us, nobody in the media, nobody's gonna give two shits about you and how that impacts you and your future moving forward. So again, I just can't be mad at a star player for deciding to sit out to make sure that they good, their draft stock is where it's at, and they getting that money, because that's life-changing opportunity. Your life and possibly your kids' life is literally changed. So like Jalen Smith lost a lot of money. Like Jalen Smith was never the same player. He was a beast at Notre Dame. He ended up playing, and that was a blessing that he was able to get on that football field. And I think he still plays. I think he's on the Giants now. Last time I checked, I'm not sure. But this guy is supposed to be like a generational talent in the NFL. And after that nerve damage, he was never the same. So it's like, damn, it makes you feel like, what if?
Will there ever be a guy that sits out of a playoff game, just says, you know what, guys, I've already gotten 12, 13 games under the books. I'm good.
I'm telling you right now, this 12-team playoff is going to create missing conference championship games next year. Watch.
Oh.
Why? If Alabama's the number 1 seed, they already guaranteed the 4 seed in the 12-team playoff. Why would they not sit out that meaningless game? Just
the only answer I think is
just so they can get a bye. Maybe the bye don't help them. Maybe they don't want to buy. Maybe they want to play a worse team.
But why? But I don't know. So that's my only thing where I go against you.
You can get injured. Remember, Jordan Travis got injured against a cupcake.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I mean,
you don't want an extra game, JB, in no circumstance.
Smitty, they're already going to play fucking 16. What are we talking about?
I know it's not about. I'm saying, but you don't want an extra game. Like it's football. This ain't tennis. Like one extra game could be the fucking difference of players getting hurt versus them not being hurt. Like,
you said it perfectly just now. My segue. You said it's football, and you just went on an eloquent rant about going to the NFL and risking it all. So if I had to go back and say, what if that was his last game, the last game of the season? It's always the last game. So my conference title game's the last game. The game before that was the last game. What are we talking about here? Like, it makes zero sense. Like,
it's always the risk.
Not that your argument makes zero sense, but I'm saying, like, we're talking about them missing a bowl game or a playoff game to go to the NFL after they just played 12 games. It's the dumbest argument I've ever heard. Like, you could get hurt walking your doggy, man. Play the game and play it till it's finished. That is what you signed up for. This is the moneymaker. You're getting evaluated. You're going to the NFL.
Can I tell you one thing, though? You know, the position I would sit out if I could as much as possible would be running back, because of the way the NFL handles that position. I was at the Willis McGahee game. I was at the 2003 Fiesta Bowl when he tore his knee up right in front of me. And I was like, oh, my God. And luckily, he had unbelievable genetics. The running back position, the way it's handled by the National Football League, where you're looked upon as a new car, it looks great, but as soon as you drive it off the lot, well, you devalue it by half point. And the way they're handling the running back position now, they are looking at you as a 4 to 5 year lease. So as soon as you get to that first contract, they're already going to the next running back. The running backs rarely get that big second contract, I think, moving forward.
I think there's a way to
Zeke Elliott contract. I'm not so sure how many more times that's going to happen unless you're a Marshall Faulk type of 3-down back. Okay? So if I'm a running back, I would actually say, you know what? Maybe I should sit out. That's the one position I could justify sitting out if you're like a Christian McCaffrey level type player.
Or you recruit better. See, that's the thing. So people don't know that because I'm out of the damn game. Guess what? I had 5 Power 5 D1 transfer backs, a Bama back, a Michigan back, a Texas A&M back. And you know what? They bought into what I sold them. Guess what? Nowadays, we don't do that. Alabama did when T-Rich was there. They had 5 NFL running backs. You know what? Lessens the load, and it gives you more carries in the NFL. Now, injuries are going to happen, and unfortunately to T-Rich and other guys like Lacey and all these guys. But if you get 5 big-time backs, it's less load on them in college, and therefore you can play in the bowl game. But these cats don't recruit that way no more. They go after the 1 5-star guy. They recruit a bunch of shitty cats after that, and then they think they're gonna use a guy on third down to escape out the backfield in the flat, and I'm gonna move you to the slot. But T. Rich has to get 35 carries this game. No, how about we all get 10 carries and we're expanding our usage, and then we go to the NFL, all 5 of us, like Bama did forever.
Coach, most teams nowadays play 3 to 4 backs. T-Rich, was there ever a game in the middle of the game where you're like having good stats, but you say, hey guys, I don't need all the carries. I'm good here. Like, put this on layaway?
No. Shoot, man, when
Different
I was
era.
in school. Yeah, when I was in school, bro, I was trying to play. And by the time the third quarter hit, I knew it was gonna be over with for me, man, because that's the backs that we had. Like, we had backs to come in, and I didn't have to play the full quarter. Like, that's just what it was. Like, bro, I wanted to play, but it was just like, because that was the dog in me. That was the fight in me. That's what I was raised off of, playing, showing out, being able to be available, like being a 3-down back. Like, that was the guy I was. That was the fight. That's what I try to teach my kids. That's what has been taught to me. And so nowadays, it's so much 7-on-7. Like, backs don't even know what a 3-down backs is no more, right? Because now we're a 3-down system, 7-on-7 lead now, right? So
they play receiver.
They don't have it no more, man. And I get it. Like, they don't value the running backs at all. Like, even with the guys that's in there now that's putting up big numbers, like Derrick Henry, like, bro, like, he just got hurt last week. But this man got 2 or 3 years of 2,000-yard rushing, and then he's not a 2,000-yard rusher. He's still in the top 3 of a running back.
Yeah.
On his older days out, in the league. Like,
hey, we just did a poll question to start the show, T-Rich. Like, the only running back in the NFL that has played every football game over the last 3 years is Najee Harris. One guy. So that's why they're undervalued. That's why they're not getting. I mean, they're just not available nowadays. Like,
because they're not even able to take the impact. Because, like, back and think about when Jerome Bettis and Emmitt Smith them was available, and Barry Sanders them, like, they was taking them hits, bro. Like, they was giving them too. Like, their body, like, people's body's not even meant for that anymore, because they're not used to taking that impact, because we're so much of a 7-on-7 lead, to where, like, them guys are not even getting any type of pressure in there. Like, they're not putting pressure on their body. And so now they're receivers, and now they're not even getting looked at. And it's just like they're blocking backs.